Welcome to Chasing Circa Millions, a season-long journey swimming with the Sharks for a shot at a piece of $6 million. Each week of the NFL season, Dave and Matt will break down the schedule and come up with 5 picks against the spread to enter into the Circa Millions contest. Let's see what the guys come up with this week.
Good evening and welcome to Chasing Circa Millions, where me, Dave, and him, Matt, pick 5 games every week to enter into the Circa Millions contest. Matt and I are trying to get a piece of that $6 million prize pool. Let's see how we did last week. I'm going to share that for us. And it was a pretty good week last week for us. Not too bad. That's not it, is it? Wow, look at that.
We're like in a panorama.
That's not good. Yeah, not good at all. Let's try again. Me and my technical difficulties.
You're in a new setup down there in the south.
I'm in a new place, so it's rough.
There you go.
Different studio tonight. Okay. Results of week 8. Ravens winners, Patriots winners, Tampa Bay winners, and Dallas and Pittsburgh losers. I think, if I remember, there was the favorites were what last week?
11-2.
11-2.
Yep.
So pretty tough to pick underdog winners, and we tried to get a couple of dogs in there and didn't pick the right ones. 3-2 for the week, though. On the season, we're 20-20, which is obviously 50%. But we did move up 400 places, and now we are in 2,064th place out of 5,700. We are in the top 36% of all the entries. What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be a good week. I mean, obviously, I think we submitted the picks, and we were like texting back and forth and really feeling sad that we picked the Ravens, and then that worked out great because we were saying, oh, Ravens or Bengals, and we went with the Ravens, and then the Bengals lose outright. That was great. Dallas, they were terrible, and Pittsburgh gave me hope for a half, but then they didn't come through for us. So overall, I think it was a good week.
Yeah, pretty disappointing performance by Pittsburgh. I expected a little better out of them last week for sure, and the Cowboys as well. Anyway, our next segment is the Ask Matt segment of the week. So we've just got 3 of them this week, Matt. So we're going to just do a couple and go quickly through this. And this is just asking Matt what bets he would make. And our first one is the really hotly contested AFC West. You've got Denver at 6-2 and Kansas City and the Chargers both at 5-3 right now. So here are the odds to win the AFC West. Kansas City is at -125, Denver's at +240, Chargers at +340.
Yeah, I think out of those, honestly, like looking at the, given the odds that you just said and just I think the value, I'd be looking at the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers already have a win over the Chiefs, right? So if they could get, a win over Denver, and then
I think they already have Chiefs. 2 wins in the.
Well, they beat up on the Raiders, right?
Yeah, they beat Kansas City and they beat the Raiders and they beat Denver.
Well, they beat them. Okay, they beat Denver as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the Chargers have probably the best shot there. I mean, they split with Kansas City, they split with Denver. Let's just say they beat the Raiders twice, and then all they have to do is have the best record, right, or win a tiebreaker. I'd say over +300. That'd probably be the best value I'd see there. Kansas City, I'm surprised they're laying that kind of number. I mean, I know they're looking better, but it's not like an easy road forward for them by any means, especially with that divisional loss that they had to the Chargers.
Right. Yeah. I think the Chargers being 3-0 gives them a good leap up on the rest of them as far as any kind of tiebreakers and that type of thing. And we'll see. They could be a couple of games ahead of Kansas City if Kansas City loses to Buffalo this week, which, is definitely a possibility. Okay, let's hop on to our next 2, and these are both the same question. They're for the different conferences. Who's going to get the number 1 seed? Not who wins the conference, but just at the end of the season, who gets the number 1 seed. In the AFC, we've got Indy at +140, Kansas City at +360, Buffalo at +390, the Patriots at 7-1.
Oh man. Indy's division is so bad. I'd almost have to give it to them, right? I mean, the Chiefs, they could still drop a couple games here. They could drop this Buffalo game. They have to play two more tough division games. I'd have to give it to Indy just because, I think their division is much softer than the rest of the league. And I mean, obviously the Patriots, I don't think that they've been great, but I don't think they're going to beat Buffalo again. And their schedule is really easy. man, they'd have to win a lot of games to get there. But maybe that's not a bad value play. But I'd say Indy's probably fair.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Buffalo and Buffalo's got the same thing as New England. Other than each other, they have to play the Dolphins and the Jets a bunch, right? So
Right.
I think that gives them both a leg up over Kansas City, and then it's just a matter of if Indianapolis can get enough wins to be ahead of them, right? So
Right, but they're already 7-1, so even if they drop a few here, then
they're seven
they're
and
looking in
one.
good shape.
New England's 6-2, Buffalo's 5-2. So yeah, next couple of weeks we'll play that out. Okay, last one, NFC number one seed, and I love this one. Right now, the favorites: Green Bay at plus 225, Detroit at 3-1, Rams at 4-1, Philadelphia at 6-1, and Tampa Bay at 7-1
To get the number one seed.
to get the number one seed.
I would say if I was looking at value, it'd probably be the Rams there would probably have the best value. I mean, but that division's really tough. I don't think Green Bay should be it at all. I mean, they do have some weird tiebreakers, but I'd go Detroit, I guess. I mean, I like the Rams a lot, but I do think Seattle's really good. And I don't think they've played Seattle yet. That'll be tough for them to get the number. It'd be really hard to get the number one seed out of that. I'd go with Detroit, honestly. Even though Tampa Bay also has like a really terrible, like easy division, but Detroit, I mean, they beat Tampa Bay, so they have a tiebreaker there.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd put, for instance, like 3 units on Detroit at 3-1 and 2 units on Tampa Bay at 7-1. Just because Tampa Bay's in such a crappy division, I think they've got a good chance to get the number one seed. I think Green Bay.
They've only lost what, twice?
Right. And Green Bay's, I think they're a false favorite for sure, right? And Tampa Bay.
Green Bay seems like a paper tiger team. I mean,
yeah. You know who Tampa Bay's lost to?
Detroit,
Philadelphia and Detroit.
Yeah.
And they've got. Here's their schedule. Okay, tell me that Tampa Bay isn't a good bet at 7-1. Okay, they play New England. They're on their bye this week. They play New England. They play at Buffalo and at the Rams. Those are 2 tough games. Then they play Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, and Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, if they win that New England game, then they could definitely get there. I mean, barring they drop some random game in their division. But if they beat New England, I think they have a very good chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unrealistic that they could go 7-2 to finish, which would give them 13-4 on the year.
Probably, yeah. That probably gets you
strong.
there, I would think, in the NFC.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, 7-1. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, which brings us to this week. There they are, the point spreads. And we've been having pretty good luck going with the let Matt give his first one, and then I'll give mine, and that's boded pretty well for us so far. So let's just continue with that. We've gone 7-3 the last 2 weeks since we changed the format up a little bit. So let's continue with that. Let's hear what you got to say, Matt.
Yeah, so looking at picks this week, it's a tough week, and it's really tough, as we kind of discussed, with all the favorites winning so well recently. You'd maybe expect some regression, but I have to trust our process here, and that's kind of what I've been thinking about. For me, 1A and 1B, both right there together. I love both of these. Chargers at Titans. Chargers are on extended rest. They're the kind of team that just beats up on these bad teams. And the Titans, 2 of their best defenders are out. That would be Snead, and I think the other guy's name is Simmons. He's a defensive lineman. They're both out. Jim Harbaugh in these kind of games, he gets them up and ready for these. Like I said, extended rest, and they just beat up on these bad teams. And the Chargers are much better than the Titans. I think this should be maybe more like a 9.5 at least. And that would have maybe, or above 10 probably would have had me thinking more about the Titans. But this line, I know it's kind of reversed a little bit, but I love the Chargers in this spot. I think they'll roll the Titans and continue on. They've looked a lot better after that loss against Washington. So I like them there. 1B for me, that would be Detroit. They're minus 8.5 as well against the Vikings. And the Vikings, they're rolling out, obviously Carson Wentz can't play. They're rolling out J.J. McCarthy, and they have another backup that I guess could go. I don't even know much about him, but, J.J. McCarthy against this Lions team is a juggernaut. I mean, they're coming off the bye. They're at home. They're great at home. They're pretty much the best home team in the league. And I know the Vikings defense is good and hasn't played as well as probably they could have, and they're getting some people back. You go back and you look ever since, 2022, 2023, the Lions have lit up this team, right? I think they have a great chance here. And they're getting some of their defensive backs back as well. J.J. McCarthy, this is not the spot for him. So I really like the Lions in this one. I think they'd be a pretty good bet. Looking at some of the other games, obviously this game's about to start, but I did like the Ravens this week. Can't pick that one now, but I did like them this week. I think it's a good spot for them. I'd say, 3-4 are kind of similar for me. I really do like the Seahawks this week. I know that maybe, it's not the best line. Maybe it's not the best spot, but you got Jaden Daniels. He's coming off a knee injury or like a hamstring. I don't know if he's going to be the same kind of Jaden Daniels that we were used to seeing last year where he's running all over teams, throwing it deep bombs. They're not going to have Terry McLaurin. I think the defense is not very good. Seattle, they're a really good team. I think they're one of the top 10 teams in the league right now, and they have a great defense. Sam Darnold's been playing great, and they're off the bye. They've played really well on the road so far, so I think the Seahawks have a good chance. I mean, this is an in-conference game, right? So they need this one too. I think they have a good chance to go in there and kind of roll them. So I like the Seahawks. And then, this was a tough one. And, the Seahawks, going back, maybe just one more comment. I know we're trying to maybe avoid as much as we can, maybe the primetime games. They haven't really gone as well for us. I think if we look back at our picks, we don't do as well in the primetime games, just because there's a lot more variance. But this game isn't a primetime game. This is a 4 p.m. window game. I like the Chiefs this week. And I think, one reason just off the bat, I think a lot of people in the contest are going to be picking the Bills. But going to the matchup, I think the Chiefs are on the rise, and I know the Bills just absolutely blew out the Panthers, but it's the Panthers, so there's not really much to be said from that. The Chiefs, they look a lot better on offense when they have all their weapons there. I know Pacheco's hurt, but I don't really care because Kareem Hunt's just fine, and those running backs were interchangeable. But having Rashee Rice back has really changed things for them. Between him and Worthy, they have some credible downfield threats. Mahomes is looking actually really, really good. I know Josh Allen obviously is kind of dominated this matchup in the regular season, but I think under a field goal, the Chiefs, I like them here. Their defense, Spag's defense is good. And the Bills defense kind of concerns me. They're missing their best linebacker. I think his name's Oliver. So I just think this is a good spot for the Chiefs, and they really need this one. I know the Bills need it too, but the Chiefs need this one really bad as well. So I like taking Patrick Mahomes under a field goal. I think it's a good bet. So, and then I guess, if I was going to go for, a fifth game, I know I kind of said maybe I like the Ravens, but a fifth game, I'd be looking maybe between 3 of them. I think if I had to choose among them, I hate it and I hate myself for it, but I'd have to go with the Jags as my fifth. I mean, they're under a field goal. The Raiders are not good, and I don't like betting on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's been terrible, but they're off the bye. It's still I think a decent enough defense, and Geno's looked so bad this year, and I know they're off the bye too, but under a field goal, I think the Jags are a much better team, so I'd have to go their way. The other team that I think, maybe is just a good spot for them is the Colts. I know the Steelers, you're thinking, okay, they were +3 against the Packers, now they're +3 again against the Colts. I think the Colts are actually a pretty dang good team this year, like a top 5, top 6 type team. And I think they could go in there and smoke the Steelers. My only concern about this is that, they've played a lot of inside games. So I don't exactly know what I'm getting with Daniel Jones, maybe outside, but the Steelers' defenses look so bad that, you know, laying points against them doesn't really scare me. So, and the Colts' offense has been so good that I think they could just put up so many points so quickly on them that they just have no way to come back, right? So that Steelers offense, I don't think is made for making big 14, 17-point comebacks. I also like the Colts as maybe like a 5A, 5B. Obviously, would like to get your thoughts on this week's slate. I know I just picked literally all favorites, but this week was like really hard on these dogs. So there was only about one or two dogs on the slate that I liked, and not
Yeah,
that much.
when it comes to talking about the dogs, let me just bring up one thing before I get to my picks, right? Here's the handle. Can you see that now?
Yeah, 93% of the handle on.
Yeah. Okay. Colts, 93%. Lions, 94%. Patriots, 87%. Chargers, all the favorites have got all the money on them, right? If you keep looking at it. Okay, this game, Houston, Denver's a split, right? Packers, 81%. Bears are a favorite, 75%. Jags are a favorite, 72%, right? It just goes on and on and on and on and on with that. So, yeah, the favorites are definitely, getting some love this week for sure. And it's just sometimes the favorites have been doing well, and I expect them to stop doing well at some point, but I'm not sure when that is. Right? It doesn't look like it's this week, but we'll see. Anyway,
Right, and I would just as a quick aside on that. I mean, obviously, I think I pay attention to where money is going and all that stuff, but I'm not making my analysis on these games just because people are betting on them too. That doesn't necessarily
right,
mean that dissuade me one way or the other. I'd say I'm trying to pick. Maybe we're picking favorites, and everyone's going to be on the favorites on every game. Let's just say, right?
right,
But I'm trying to pick the right ones, I guess,
right, exactly,
as much as we can, right? So
right. And even
we're
last
not
week,
trying to go 5-0. We're trying to go 3-2.
right,
We'd love to go 5-0, but ideally we're trying to go 3-2.
yeah, we can't have too many 3-2s along the way, though. If we're behind the 8 ball now, we've got to do some catching up. So we have to
Right.
get some 4-1s and 5-0s in there somehow. We certainly can't afford a losing week anymore. Um, okay, so I think we're going to get to a pretty good consensus here without too much trouble. My number one team was the same as your number one team, was the Chargers. I don't have anything more to say on that. Titans are terrible. Chargers are good. They'll run it up. Also, my number two team was Detroit. The reason I don't have any worries, I mean, obviously they got quarterback issues in Minnesota. Their defense has not played as well as they could have or should have. And Detroit's wins this year, they won by 31, they've won by 8, they've won by 24, they've won by 13, and they've won by 15. So, they'll put it on you, right? So I don't think covering 8.5 is too much. A team, if you look at the game script of this game, the Lions are not going to let the Vikings get within a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, right? I think you're looking at, in a worst case scenario, the Lions win by 9 or 10, right? So is the way I'm thinking. Then we get to a few different ones that we're separated on, and some ones that are the same, right? My third choice of the bunch was Dallas. I know the Cowboys did this in last week, but the Cardinals are in horrible disarray. Kyler Murray is a train wreck. Um, they just don't have a good offense. Their defense, which was supposed to be really good, is kind of suspect. And I just don't think the Cardinals, with the Cowboys being at home, I don't think the Cardinals can keep up in points. Um, I think this is a good spot for the Cowboys. Again, we don't like the primetime games that much, so but the Cowboys were my number two pick or number three pick because their offense is really rolling, and I just can't see that the Cardinals can keep up with them. Moving on to my next one, I kind of like the Broncos. Um, I think the wrong team's favored in this game. I mean, the Texans have been nothing but a disappointment. CJ Stroud's taken a step back. The Texans' defense is certainly good, but their offense is terrible. In the last couple of weeks, the Broncos' offense has really come alive, right? They're on fire. They've scored a lot of points. I just want to take a quick look and make sure that I'm not totally crazy in what I say. But yeah, I mean, they scored 44 on Dallas. They scored 33 on the Giants the last 2 weeks, right? And the Giants, obviously, the Dallas defense is not good, but the Giants defense is middle of the pack anyway, right? So I think this game should be Broncos maybe minus 2.5 or 3 on the road. That's just the way I felt about that. And my next pick was one that aligns with one of yours, is Jacksonville. You don't like betting on Trevor Lawrence, and I drink the Trevor Lawrence Kool-Aid. So I think if you look at these two teams, the Jaguars, they're both coming off their bye, but the Jaguars have played pretty well this year. Their record's good. The Raiders, just the opposite. They're going down. I think there's a lot of questions about how many guys will be on the Raiders after the trade deadline next week. I think they're going nowhere fast, and I think the Jaguars, if they play up to their capabilities, the playoffs are not out of the realm of possibility for the Jaguars. So I think they're well coached. I think they're going to, they're 4-3. They're not going to catch Indianapolis, but they're in a really good spot for a wild card spot. But they need to keep playing well, right? They have to keep pace with teams like the Chargers and Kansas City and that. But I think they're the type of team that's going to beat similar and lesser competition. They're not going to be able to probably compete with the top echelon of the league, but I think against similar or worse, they're in good shape for sure. Others that I was sort of interested in, Indianapolis. The only caveat I had on Indianapolis is the Steelers. This would be, 2 losses in a row at home, which is kind of hard to fathom. But I think if you took the Colts and the Packers on a neutral field, it would probably be a pick 'em or 1 point either way. And the Packers just stuck it to the Steelers, right? So I can see your logic there for sure. I'd definitely be interested in the Colts for sure. And then I'll say a couple of things. I'm not really interested in the Seahawks Commanders game because I don't know what I'm going to get out of Jaden Daniels, and they're very up and down team, the Commanders. They can look great one week and bad the next, right? So that kind of worries me. I'm on the other side of the Chiefs-Bills game that you were on. But call me crazy, all right? Call me crazy. I looked pretty hard at the Rams this week. The Saints are starting Tyler Schlau, whatever his name is, right? His first start. The Rams defense is pretty salty, and the Rams at home on a fast track, they may run the Saints right into the ground. I'm not sure. Do the Saints get 10 or 12 points? Maybe, but the Rams, they could really stick it to them in that spot. So, yeah, that might be a little bit of a crazy pick on my part, but it's one I looked at, right? So,
right.
I think we got the Chargers, Detroit, and Jacksonville together.
Right.
I think we've got a pretty strong maybe on Indianapolis for sure.
Yep.
I think we're in pretty good shape. Do you have any rebuttal on my Cowboys?
I guess I'm just I'm concerned at how bad the defense is, right? Like, I know you like the Broncos, but the Broncos I don't think is that great of an offense, honestly. I mean, I realize they put up a lot of points on the Giants, but the Giants went into this stupid. They were up 26 whatever to 3, and they went into this stupid prevent defense for an entire quarter for basically no reason, right? Like, and you know what happens when you go into the prevent defense. It's like you're basically almost guaranteed you're going to get scored on. And they did that for like a quarter straight. So it's like, okay, yeah, of course they're just going to throw it down the field, down the middle of the field, down the middle of the field, drive the field, score. Like, yeah. I don't believe necessarily in the Denver offense. The Denver offense was getting shut out against Philadelphia too, right? And Philadelphia is not like that great. I think we're maybe on kind of opposite sides of that. I think the Texans, I'm very concerned that the Broncos don't have Pat Surtain, their number one corner. They won't be able to get as much pressure on CJ Stroud, and that concerns me. So that would be my thought there. And leading that into the Cowboys, I mean, the Cowboys, yeah, they're like, heck, was it Jekyll and Hyde? They're like back and forth, right? Like, it's like they're either putting up like 40 on somebody or they like can't move the ball. I don't know what's going on. It's like, I felt like they should have been able to keep pace with the Broncos, but their defense is so terrible and they're missing so many pieces on the outside. It's like, man, even if they put up 35, the Cardinals could go all over them, right? So it's like, I don't know. And that's also a primetime game, and I guess maybe, in the spirit of maybe trying to avoid those, that, like, I'd rather be on the Colts than I would the Cowboys.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more question. Is the Patriots, have we determined that's a trap game? Because that just looks too good to be true, right?
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, I'll be kicking myself because I barely looked at this one. I said Patriots 5.5, and the Falcons just got like blown out, like by Miami. So it's like, it feels like that should be like the classic spot to like bet on the Falcons. But it's just hard because there's too much uncertainty with what's going on with the Falcons, because is Drake London playing? Maybe, maybe not. Is Penix playing? Maybe, maybe not. If it was Kirk Cousins and I knew that for sure, I'd be all over the Patriots, right? But I guess I just didn't really look at this one too much because there was a little bit of uncertainty. And I don't know what I'm going to get from the Falcons. Like, they beat the Bills handily, and then they lose 34-10 or whatever to Miami, right? It's like, what are we doing?
Right. Yeah. The only thing that kind of makes me think that New England might be a fair pick is their defense has been playing so well the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, they've looked good. I won't deny that, but they're they're up there as one of the top teams for ATS this year, right? Like, they're like, what, are they 6-2 ATS?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was a little bit scared of them. I mean, I know we kind of discussed a little bit. I did like the Giants a little bit. I think the 49ers are like the biggest fraud of frauds. Like, just a terrible team that somehow has a good record. And I mean, the Giants aren't very good either, but that 49ers defense, there's like no one playing. They have like no one playing for them on either side of the ball. It's just a bunch of bums.
Right. And yeah, I stayed away from that game just because of our whole staying away from supporting bad teams.
Yeah.
And the Giants are, they've got to be among the 10 worst in the league, don't you think?
They're definitely not a good team. I'll say that. Even though they were giving the Broncos problems, and I think that they were actually probably a couple of bad referee calls away from giving the Eagles another scare. I don't think the Giants are necessarily like, of the teams that I think are really bad, I don't think they're like in the really bad category. Like, Tennessee, I think, is really bad. Miami, I think, is really bad.
They're the best of the bad teams.
Yeah, Vegas, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, there's some teams that are just like way another tier. There's bad, and then there's like Tennessee, Vegas, Miami, right? Like,
okay, before we get to our last pick, which we have to make, did you have any comment on my Rams?
Is Puka Nacua playing?
I would.
That would be my only concern.
Right. It's like here I just saw it up here.
I didn't look at. I hardly looked at that game. It was kind of confusing to me what's going on there.
You couldn't handle the excitement of that game.
I couldn't handle the excitement of seeing Tyler Shaw or Shuck.
Yeah. Let me see. I've been doing a search to try and see if I can find some sort of injury update on Puka Nacua. He
1
says,
hour ago,
Coach Sean McVay.
Nacua says he'll return from ankle injury versus Saints.
Yep. He said he feels fantastic and is ready to go against the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. Practice Thursday for the first time. Practice Wednesday limited.
My only concern would be Sean McVay is not the kind of coach that's just like gonna keep running it up on you. If he's up 28-7, Like, he's not just going to try to keep scoring, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
That would be my only concern. Otherwise, I would like to bet against the Saints.
yeah, like they only beat the only team that they've really driven into the ground was Jacksonville. I mean, they only beat Houston by 5. They beat Tennessee by 14. Tennessee and probably New Orleans.
Saints are probably in Tennessee territory, though.
Yeah, they are. And I mean,
but they really were laying that kind of number against Tennessee.
They really laid it on the Jags, too, right? So,
right. And they're off a bye.
Right.
Or are they off a bye?
The Rams?
No, they're not.
Yeah, they were off a bye.
They are, because we took the
Because
Jags
they were
a couple
in
weeks
England,
ago, idiotically.
Yeah, yes, we took the Jags in England, 2 weeks ago. So they are off the bye, yeah.
Was that our one loss in our 4-1 week?
Yes.
Sad loss.
Yep, that's correct.
I mean, I'm fine with Colts, Jags, Chargers,
Lions.
Detroit, obviously.
Yep. We got to find one more.
And I can't convince you on the Seahawks. I'd say if we were going to stick with our guns, we don't go Seahawks or Cowboys, just because those are 2 primetime games, and those never seem to go well for us for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I don't like that Chiefs-Bills game. You're not going to pull me over to your side on that one.
Yeah. I don't think I can get there on the Bills either, so... I would say of the ones that we have available, I would go with Rams. Rams or Giants.
Rams or Patriots.
Oh, not Giants.
I'd say Rams, Patriots, Giants we got to take a look at.
Yeah, because the Bengals game is too uncertain because I don't know whether we're getting Jake Browning or who's going in for that game.
Yeah. If you could tell me Jake Browning, I'd be somewhat interested in the Bears.
If Jake Browning was playing, I would be begging for us to take the Bears. Jake Browning sucks.
Right. And I don't know what the status is on, he's not been practicing and he's uncertain, right? So, yeah, I mean, and the Bears are they're a hard team to back, right? They're another team that you're not sure what you're going to get, right?
Where were the 49ers playing last week? Were they at home? Houston, I believe. That is what I saw. But I've been looking at so many games. This is almost kind of a...
Yeah, they lost to Houston.
They're playing at home. They're playing at home against the Rams next week.
Right.
I guess maybe I'd be almost impartial to the Giants just because at least there we have one dog in there. I know maybe that doesn't really mean anything, but at least if all the dogs are going to cover, then we have one randomly in there that could do us some good.
Yeah,
But I also don't think anyone's going to pick the Rams.
I just hate the going with the supporting a bad team thing, right? I agree. If you made me pick that game, I would take the Giants 100% of the time, right? If it was just we only had one game to pick, I'd take the Giants, right? But yeah, they're not a good team, right? For sure. The Rams would be kind of a silly pick. And the Patriots seem like a smart pick, right? But it's fishy. It's fishy, I agree, right?
Right. And I guess the only game we haven't talked about at all would be the Packers-Panthers, and I don't know what to do with that game at all.
Right. Is the Red Rocket back at quarterback this week for the Panthers, or is it Bryce Young?
I don't know. If it was Bryce Young, I wouldn't mind the Panthers, but...
Yeah, but the Packers, they're a little inconsistent themselves too, right? And they just beat a team in the Steelers that are much better than the Panthers, right?
Right.
So... you would think that they could put a whooping on the Panthers, and their Packers are pretty feisty at home, but 13's on that side of it, I'm not really interested in that much, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
if you
I feel like what's going to happen is sorry, you go ahead.
If you look at these two games side by side, the Packers, Panthers, and to the right, the Saints and the Rams, right? The Rams and the Packers, we talked about the division standings, right?
I think the Rams are better than the Packers.
You think the Rams are better than the Packers? Well, are the Panthers better than the Saints?
Yes.
Definitely, right?
Definitely.
So you're thinking, and they're both 13.5, right?
If I was going to take one of those, I'd definitely take the Rams, right? Right. Yeah. I think we should go with the Rams.
Nobody's going to take them, right?
And just pray that the only interesting game during that 4 p.m. window is the Chiefs-Bills game. Because they're just going to want to keep showing it and showing it and showing it. And hopefully 4 p.m. rolls around and the Jags are just going through the Raiders, and the Saints are just cruising by the Rams. I know we're taking all favorites, and this could be really, really bad for us, but
Yeah.
I think maybe we're avoiding some games that could go really badly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just to finish up, like that 49ers-Giants game is, I 60-40 Giants maybe in my mind, right? So that's pretty close, right? The Patriots, I'd say, is probably more like a 70-30 game, but, I could see the Falcons doing their Falcon thing. I don't know how they do that, right? But it's just a weird thing, right? Broncos-Texans, right, is probably, like you say, a 50-50 game, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Rams are kind of a crazy pick, but, it's going to be outside the box, right? I don't think a lot of people are going to take the Packers. I don't think a lot of people are going to take the Rams just because
we're
of the spread,
following the formula, which is we're avoiding the primetime games.
We're going against the bad teams.
We're taking games against bad teams, which is the formula. We're going against the Raiders, the Titans, and the Saints. Those are probably 3 of the 4 worst teams. Right.
Yes.
And Lamar threw for a touchdown. To who? To Mark Andrews. Thank God. Thank God. He threw for a touchdown to Mark Andrews. But anyway, sorry, I'm looking at this Miami game just to see what's going on. But yeah, no, I think the Rams is a good choice as well. I mean, I didn't look too much of the game, I'll be completely honest. But Nakua's playing, and I don't care if it's Rattler or Shao or whoever it is, the Bucs just demolished them. And I think the Rams are way better than the Bucs, right?
Right.
So maybe not way better, but they're better, and they're at home. And that was the Bucs on the road. So
right.
I know we might be stepping in it here, but I hope maybe we can pick at least 4 or maybe 5 of the right favorites, and then all the dogs can win outright, and that's okay with me.
Right. Yep. I agree with that. Okay, we got our picks. That's it for Chasing Circa Millions this week. Let's have another good week.
5-0.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Circa Millions. We always welcome feedback, suggestions, and criticism. You can reach us at @CornfieldGolf on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a comment, and cross your fingers for our picks.